let's go ahead and jump into the Bengals beating the Bills 24-18 on Sunday Night Football and have now won 4 games in a row. The Bills, I never wrote them off. I told you guys, even though I did say the Bills possibly won't make the playoffs, because I'm still sticking to that. They could still possibly not make the playoffs. But I still think that Cincinnati has been so good. They started off the season 1-3. And they were really, really, really leaning hard because they got blown out twice in those first 4 games as well, too. They lost a game where it pretty much was a game that had already been settled with Baltimore, and then they got themselves a little rinky-dinky lucky win on Monday Night Football against a middling Rams team. And then they make the trip to Arizona. And you know what? Things look a little funny going to Arizona after losing the way that they did to Tennessee the week before, 27-3. They go to Arizona, they get right. And, Jamar has the game of games. Jamar, 12 catches, 100 some odd yards that day, catches 3 touchdowns. He had himself a game. He pretty much had been struggling all season, has himself a game. He's back to normal. Then they play Seattle the next week in a close game in Cincinnati. Then they come back around and they dominate the San Francisco 49ers in Santa Clara. They literally sent them packing for the bye week and with the sour taste in their mouth. And then last night they go ahead and they keep things in check against Josh Allen and once again beat the Bills 24-18. But they beat them just like they did last year in the playoffs. So, Josh Allen trying to figure it out. He still had 258 yards thrown against them last night. But, he had to be the lead rusher as well, too, with 44 yards. Stephon Diggs was good, 6 catches, 86 yards with the touchdown last night. Kincaid kind of came into his own with 10 catches last night as well, too. And then you got some good looks from the defense with Phillips and Floyd. But when you look at the Bengals numbers last night, Joe Burrow, ice cold, is just cold as ice. The guy is absolutely incredible. 348 yards this week, 2 touchdowns. He was only sacked once and threw for 70% completion percentage and also was 108.9 on the QBR as well too. So he had himself a pretty good game. He had himself a great game last week as well too. And in his last 4 games, Burrow has thrown 10 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So that's pretty good for a guy who started off his first 4 games of the season with only 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and was sacked 9 times in the process as well, too. And didn't have a QBR better than 85.6 in those first 4 games. Since then, his lowest QBR has been 88.4 with his highest being 134.8. So it's just been day and night with Joe. September was bad. October was great. November, it looks like it's going to be greater because this guy is on pace to really go ahead and put himself in a category that other Bengals quarterbacks have never been to. And I think that this guy is very, very into the MVP conversation. He's not in my top 5 as of yet, but the way he's been playing, he probably will be sneaking into the top 5 fairly soon. So with that, the Bengals, once again, great win for them. They have a game against the Texans coming up next week. You got the Bills next week, who are really in need of a bye, in my opinion. The Bills don't get a bye until after the Philadelphia game. They got the Broncos and the Jets in Buffalo. So that should be good. And then they got a really tough game against Philadelphia. But I think that should be a game that they can really measure themselves on and see exactly who they are. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break. And when I get back, we're going to jump into the Lakers, state of the Lakers. We're also going to get into the NBA Monday night as well, too. And then after that, we got talking tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles with the one and only Pop Dibiase, the Primetime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for, and